taking the time today. We really wanted to talk to you about what we think is going to be the most exciting project in North York for sure of the year. I would say maybe possibly one of the most exciting ones of the GTA. Anytime a master plan community launches, it's a pretty special opportunity for early buyers. And so we want to talk to you about LSQ. Before we speak about LSQ specifically, I wanted to share a quote that I think is very reflective of the times, which is it was said by John Astor in 1912, and what he said was, "Buy on the fringe and wait. Buy real estate near a growing city. Buy real estate when other people want to sell, and hold what you buy." And I think it's really important to remember that real estate is always intended to be a long-term investor. It wasn't supposed to be, a day trading commodity. You're not supposed to buy a condo on a Monday for $500,000 and be able to sell it on a Tuesday for $600,000. That's not how real estate is supposed to work. We've all benefited from that market, of course, but real estate is always supposed to be a medium to a long-term hold to really realize its value. Before we talk about the community and the reasons as to why we think it's so special, today more than ever, you really need to think about who's behind the community, who's the developer that's going to not only sell me the dream, but deliver the dream. And Almadev, formerly Elad Canada, has been proven to be that developer for the last 20 years. They are a developer that specializes in master plan communities. That's all they do. They've never done a single standalone tower. And in any opportunity that they look at, not to say that they'll never do a standalone tower, but any opportunity that they look at is always intended to be to have a long-term vision in mind. And so master plan communities really fit well with that. They have 5 ongoing master plan communities as we speak. Emerald City in North York, it's 32 acres with about 4.5 million square feet of density. Sit Natur, 11 acres. Gallery on the Park, 15 acres with 2.3 million square feet of density. We have LSQ, which of course we'll talk about today. And we've just acquired a new site at Vaughan, right across from Vaughan Mills Mall. That's 11.5 acres and 2.25 million square feet of density. So we have 5 communities on the go. And of course, the more communities you have, the better and more experienced you become at executing them. It's just like when you're an agent, when you took your first listing ever, were you able to service that client really well? Maybe and maybe not. But if you are in the business for 5, 10, or 20 years and you take a listing, are you able to serve that client better than your first client? Of course, because experience matters and a track record matters. And Almadev has all of those under its belt. LSQ presents a really great opportunity in the making. Before we speak about the components of the community, I want to talk to you about Consumers Next. So LSQ is this area highlighted in blue. It's bordered by, on the west, it's the 404 DVP. On the south, it's the 401. On the east, it's Victoria Park, and along the north, it's Shepherd. So today, this neighborhood is already one of the largest employment areas outside of the downtown Toronto. A lot of people aren't even aware of that. It actually has one of the highest concentrations of jobs in the GTA, and it's one of the top 2 highest concentration of jobs in North York. There's almost 20,000 jobs there today, and about another 13,000 jobs coming. So the city was asking itself, we have this incredibly thriving employment center in North York. How do we convince developers to come in and build some condos here to support it with residential development? They initiated a study called Consumers Next, and Consumers Next was initiated to examine the different ways to manage the anticipated growth, the anticipated population growth, and the anticipated employment growth within the park. there were three major areas of study. One was the transportation master plan, which is how do we bring in transportation to support and make the neighborhood more accessible? Two is how do we realize the full economic potential of this community? And three, what are the services and facilities, or in other words, the infrastructure that is required to build this big community? The conclusions of the study were so successful that City Council has actually adopted them as the blueprint by which all of the development proposals within the park are evaluated. And so this is really represents the evolution, the mandated evolution of this community. The Consumers Next study was intended to ensure that the appropriate infrastructure is created to align with the population growth, that we're bringing in transit to support the employment, investments, and the population growth. We're creating a walkable community and a contemporary business park. Beyond that, the city also wanted to see restaurants and cafes, childcare centers, banks and hotels, shopping, parks and recreation, and fitness centers brought in. So these are all of these conclusions and priorities set up by Consumers Next. So as a developer, you can't come in to this neighborhood and just build one tower, sell it, get out. No, you need to bring in employment, you need to bring in retail, you need to bring in a park component. This will really be a thriving community. From the market perspective, though, when we examine it, we see that there's a huge inventory disparity, right? In this park, which is about 11 million square feet, there's just no inventory, which creates a huge investment opportunity. There are currently only 11 units listed for sale in the entire park. They sell for about 24 days on the market as an average, at an average sold to ask ratio of 100%. On the lease side, they have about 14 units available for rent right now. Think about it, guys. It's 11 million square feet of land, only 14 units available for lease. There's no inventory. This is an investor's dream. The average days on the market for leases is 9, and they rent for about 101% of lease. So even through this downturn, this data is between June 9th and Jan 9th. Even from this downturn, this market is still outperforming the Toronto Real Estate Board averages. The average sale is about $650,000, and the average lease is almost $2,500. The interesting part is that 70% of the leases are in the one-bedroom unit category. Studios, one bedroom and den, which means that there's a lot of upward potential as far as where prices and lease prices can go. It also creates a really unique opportunity to those of you who are interested in investing or buying larger units, because there's not a lot of them in this market right now. We also have massive evolution on the transit side. We have Metrolinx has identified the Shepherd East LRT as a regional in the regional transportation plan as a secondary priority line of sorts. The intention is to bring an LRT, a new LRT line from Fairview Mall across Shepherd East to Morningside Avenue in Scarborough. It's about a 13-kilometer line. The impact of bringing in transit to a neighborhood is really important. It improves the viability and realizes the economic potential of a neighborhood by bringing in additional transit options. It also is a huge attraction for real estate developers to come in and create more residential development, which is really what the city wants to see here. And it enhances the demand and the performance of the office components within proximity to the station. And this could be further looked at here, where Colliers has actually initiated a study called Toronto Rapid Transit. Toronto Rapid Transit, the study was initiated specifically for the development, the potential for infrastructure, LRT development, and how it will affect offices within Consumers Park. So this is specific to the park. It's not a general commission study. It's specific to this park and how the park will change if the LRT or when the LRT comes in. What they've done is they've defined walking distance to the stations as a critical point, about 400-meter radius from the station, 400 meters to the station. And they've had some really obvious conclusions. They've concluded that if you're within 400-meter distance or walking distance to the new LRT lines, your office space will significantly outperform spaces outside of the walking distance area. Your office space would have lower vacancy rates, will rent for more money, will get significant premiums when it's sold. All of these conclusions can apply to residential real estate as well, right? Like if your condo is closer to the LRT station, it will rent more, it will sell for more, the tenant turnover will be lower, the demand will be higher, the supply will be lower. You're going to be benefiting from that. The entire Lansing Square community, the entire LSQ community, is actually within the walking distance category as defined by Colliers as that difference maker. The first LRT station is going to be just west of our site, or I should say on the west edge of our site. And the second station will be on the eastern edge of our site. So our entire site, and it's the only site that every bit of it is within the walking distance category. Specifically, LSQ will bring in about 1.2 million square feet of residential density with about 310,000 square feet of office, about 180,000 square feet of new office and commercial space, 65,000 square feet of retail and pops, and about 52,000 square feet of a brand new park. So there's a lot of infrastructure happening here. You can see LSQ1, the first phase is the tallest building, 43 stories tall, 462 units, just beautiful architecture, unbelievable views from pretty much any unit, any floor almost. You can see the future phases there. Those are the high-rise phases. We actually have 2 additional mid-rise phases. And of course, LSQ also includes the 3 office buildings. There's a shift that's happened in the last few years where a lot of young professionals that are used to work in the downtown core no longer live in the core. They've moved during COVID. They've bought homes in Pickering and Oshawa and Aurora and Stouffville because they thought that remote working will last forever. Now their employers are recalling them back to the office, and these people are saying, wait a second, I don't want to, be in transit for an hour and a half to get to my office. Like, I don't want to go to Bay Street if I live in Oshawa or Pickering. I don't want to sit in traffic. I don't want to take, the GO train. I don't want any of that. So employers are left there scratching their heads, thinking, how do we get these people back to the office? Because now we know studies have shown that working in the office, employees in the office are significantly more productive than those working remotely. So, and these employers are scratching their heads, like, how do we bring our people back to our office? So what they're doing is they're taking secondary office spaces within business parks that are closer to where many of their employees are. And LSQ is perfect for that because it's on the 404 DVP and the 401. It's really well connected to all of the major towns north and east of the city, right? So you're 5 minutes from Markham, 7 minutes to Richmond Hill and Vaughan, 10 minutes to Pickering, 12 minutes to Stouffville, 14 minutes to Aurora and Ajax, 18 to Whitby, 20 minutes to Oshawa. So now these employers are saying, hey, but if we have an office that is 15 minutes away from your house, would you go there? And most employees actually do want to work within an office, it's been also shown through research. They'll say, sure, I'll drive 15 minutes to get to the office. I just don't want to go an hour and a half. So they're looking at spaces like LSQ to rent their offices. So we have some huge employers now at LSQ. We have employers like American Express, Insurance Bureau of Canada, Statistics Canada. We have Sony. We have NBC offices, NBC studios and offices. We have Enbridge. We have some major employers, and the employers that are within this park are really recession-proof industries, right? Like Stats Canada is not going out of business. American Express not going out of business. Insurance Bureau of Canada, Enbridge, the company that sells you hydro is not going out of business. So all of that is to say that the employers within this park are really, really strong, and that's why the demand for office will increase, and the city will realize its vision for an additional 13,000 jobs created in this location. Excuse me. If you're into the lifestyle component, then obviously LSQ is great as well. Fairview Mall is right beside our site. If you travel west on Shepherd Avenue, you can get to Bayview Village, no problem. Jump on the 401, go west. Yorkdale Shopping Center is right there. And if you jump on the 401 and go east, you'll get to Scarborough Town Center. Shops of Don Mills is 7 minutes to the south, but also because we're on the DVP, which is the major artery, the only artery really going downtown, we're also going to, you can also get to the downtown core within 20 minutes. So really, really well located here. Then there's the layers of value, where we have a few different definitions on how value in real estate really gets built up. So a lot of agents will tell me real estate is location, location, location. And to me, that's just an outdated way to think about real estate. Real estate is really the combination of a few different factors combined together. And the more of those factors you have, the more valuable your real estate is. Obviously, everything is relative to the price. Because if I would tell you this project is, if I'd say this project is at Yonge and Bloor and it's $4,000 a foot, you'd say, yeah, the location is great, but the price is crazy. Well, everything is relative to the price. And I think that the price here is going to be amazing, but we have a lot of the layers of value that you'd want. We have a great location, market performance is there, transit is there and coming because we have the transit, the subway line already at Fairview Mall. Public spaces, retail spaces, employment is there and more coming. Green spaces and infrastructure investments, all of that is coming. Before I conclude, I just want to share with you a quick quote by Warren Buffett, who's really probably the most well-known investor of the modern era. Warren Buffett is valued at $111 billion, and he was asked in an interview once, Mr. Buffett, what is the secret to being rich? And he said, I'll tell you how to be rich. You should be fearful when others are greedy, and you should be greedy when others are fearful. And so that I think is really a great quote, specifically to the times right now, right? Like if there were 4,000 worksheets for this condo, your buyers would feel like they're missing out. But really, developers really push pricing aggressively in those periods. Right now, where your buyers are able to walk into virtually any sales office in the city and buy a great unit for a great price, many of them don't want to do that. But right now really is that time where you want to do that. Downturns in Toronto don't last very long. And they usually provide remarkable opportunities. If you look at 2008, at the end of 2008, early 2009, if you bought then, by the middle of 2009, you were already making money. If you bought after the government introduced its mortgage stress test or the foreigners buyers tax, if you bought then within 6 months, you were already in the money. If you bought in the first few months of COVID, by the end of 2020, you were already in the money. Like the windows of opportunity here don't last long. And I think we're definitely in one right now where you have a great opportunity to buy real estate and really have it play in your favor in a major way. So my question is to all of you who may be listening and who may be watching the recording is, can you recognize this opportunity? Can you see why we're so excited about LSQ? Finally, we're launching the project on February 28th. We haven't even sent the invitations here yet, but we are sharing an invitation with our platinum brokers only because it's an in-person launch, and it is very rare to have a big launch event. We want to invite you all as part of Home Life Landmark. We want to invite you all to join us in person. Make sure you scan the VR code and the QR code and RSVP to join us February 28th in the evening. More details will come out soon, but we wanted to invite you guys before we send the invite to the rest of our network. On that note, I am finished.
Thank you, Ryan. This is Tony Ma.
Tony, hi, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Yeah, I missed you at your office 2 weeks ago, and so I went to an event this morning. To all of the Home Life Landmark agents, I really appreciate your presentation this morning. I think that senior or experienced real estate agent will agree that with Ryan that in the past few downturn or pickups of real estate market, whoever grasps the opportunity, then they made the money already.
Right. And especially if you invest in master plan communities, like for those of you who will scan the QR code and join us at our in-person launch event, we're going to share some pretty remarkable data that shows that investing in master plan communities will outperform. We've examined 4 different communities, will outperform the overall, not only the overall market, but specifically even the MLS district that the project is in, because you're not really benefiting from only the growth of the market, you're benefiting from all the growth of the infrastructure as well.
Yeah, that's great. So I think a lot of agents know that this developer, they have done a lot of community project in GTA. The one just across, just like so close to office is across the Fairview Mall. And that project, you need to have a 2 tower now. I think they finished 9 tower there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I bought the 3 unit in the phase 1, and then I sold the 2. I still keep 1 now, and then the rent is great. The main office is great, and they have gallery site in downtown. The project. I think that when we buy any future project, the number one reason we are buying is we follow the strong community developer. And because they have experience, they have the funds, they have the resource, can build up a good, reputable neighborhood for the community, then that's the guarantee for our return on our investment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And location. This is excellent location between Scarborough and North York. And then just like Ryan mentioned, there's a lot of employment in the neighborhood. I used to drop my kids to the Chinese school behind this building. This is a very good location for the commuters who ever working downtown, working in North York. Location, that's the best location. I would say one of the best location for the project launching in early 2023 so far.
Yeah, I think that actually the potential of the location is what excites me the most. Because really, if you draw a circle around the city, like DVP 401 and 404, like that's really the center of the city, right? Like that's where the major highways kind of intersect, and is really the gateway to coming into Toronto or going out to any of the cities north of Toronto or east of Toronto. I think when the vision here gets realized within this community, I think that the potential here for price growth is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, So I hope that you're going to have a good pricing structure, and then that way we're going to have we really need like right in the early 2023, we really need something, some project come out of boom, we can sell like a bulk of it, right?
This will be, I really believe this will be it, Tony, because the mistake that I see right now is the market is what we call price discovery mode. And the mistake that I see right now is that a lot of developers, if the price should be here, a lot of developers launch higher. And then after they launch, they realize it's a little bit too high and they start incentivizing and giving more commission or giving better buyers incentives. But what happens is the original buyers actually end up holding the short end of the stick because they paid, and 2 months after they find out there's a better incentive. That's the wrong way to do it. We're going to do it from the bottom up. So we're going to actually underprice the project for the first couple of weeks and then slowly push the prices up. And our incentive package, I can tell you, our deposit structure is going to be the most aggressive deposit structure in the city, because we're not coming to waste time. We are coming to sell out. So we really want to make it easy for your agents to bring this to your clients, educate them about the opportunity, and having their clients say, okay, let's do this.
I really like your presentation, Ryan, and think that in most cases, I think you and me are always on the same picture, because like, I always suggest the developer launch your project bottom up, not like a top down, because at this moment it's tough market. People are really worried about the future. That's why when they buy pre-con, they are worried. So you want to build up the confidence from 50 buyer, 75 buyer, 100 buyer, and then quickly you're going to sell the project. But unfortunately, just like you mentioned, like some developer launch the project high and then they started to dropping the price. I really say that is the wrong way to do it. And then if you have a good structure here, I guarantee you we're going to sell lots of units for you here.
Amazing. Well, I could tell you for sure, this is the best deposit structure out of any launch in the city. By far, not even close. But I always, of course, appreciate your support and the entire Home Life Landmark team. And I really thank you for, this year, Tony, it's 15 years relationship, me and you. And,
that's right.
And I'm thankful for your support all along the way. And we're obviously happy to support the Landmark agents all along the way. We're looking forward to working together again here.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. You and me should have a special celebration this year.
I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to
sure.
do that. Okay, my friends, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for having me, Scott.